All right, well, we need to get through some resolutions in order to incorporate, and you'll see on the back of your agendas that the first resolution is to appoint a secretary, and the motion is that this first meeting to incorporate Victoria First moves and resolves to appoint Julianne Bell as its Secretary and Public Officer in accordance with the Victorian Associations Incorporations Reform Act and advice provided by Consumer Affairs Victoria. So can I have someone to move that resolution? Baden Hager was down the back. He's moved that resolution. Alex Hutchinson has seconded that resolution. Is there any discussion concerning that?
Do we have to be a member before we're allowed to vote on any of these things?
When you're getting yourself incorporated, you're in this interesting twilight zone where we have to go to the Victorian Authority armed with these resolutions and with membership forms from the number is 5, so we'll accomplish that. But armed with those forms, if there is any dispute concerning it, then yes, I will sort out who's a member and who's not. But unless there's a disagreement, I'll just take the resolutions as having been supported. I'll put that resolution. Those in favour, those against, I declare that carried. The second resolution is that this meeting of Victoria First moves and resolves to formally incorporate in accordance with the Victorian Associations Incorporation Reform Act and to adopt the name of Victoria First Incorporated. Can I have someone to move that? To move Vita Metzatesta, seconded by Cliff Hayes.
Yeah, just one quick.
Yes.
The state population page had the same colours, and the name was after the election failure to gain significant votes. There was concern not only about the names but also about the colours. And I think that this probably needs a little bit of discussion with the choice of the name.
All right, well, I don't think what you're saying is inconsistent in terms of the name, and the name is very different from state of population, but in terms of the colours, I'm happy to refer that off to the committee for consideration, and of course any input and feedback is welcome. I will put that resolution. Those in favour, against, and declare that carried. The third resolution is that this first meeting of Victoria First moves to support the membership. Now it says of the following members as read out by the Chair as per membership forms completed and returned and the $10 membership fee paid. Anthony and Nini have lists of members in terms of people who've been signing forms and paying their $10 on the way through, so anybody who wants to check this is welcome to check who the members are and make that they'll make that known to you. And as I said before, we're encouraging people, as many as possible, to complete these forms before they leave. But can I have someone to move that resolution? And sorry, you're Greg Borders. And seconded Dally Messenger. Any discussion? Those in favour? Those against? I'll declare that carried. The next resolution concerns the committee positions, and I've had a number of expressions of interest. I've contacted people who I believe have got abilities to contribute to this. So obviously once we're incorporated, our election of office bearers from then on is to be conducted in accordance with the Associations Incorporation Act, and will be done. But in going to the Authority of Consumer Affairs Victoria and getting ourselves incorporated, we need to have a resolution of this character. So the resolution is that this first meeting to incorporate Victoria First moves and resolves to open nominations for the office bearer positions on the Committee of Management based on the nominations returned this first meeting of Victoria First, moves and resolves to appoint the following: President as me, Secretary and Public Officer as Julianne Bell in accordance with our previous resolution, Treasurer Mark O'Brien, Vice President Michael Bayliss and Assistant Secretary Jill Quirk. Actually, I might get those people to stand up so they're known to you. Julianne Bell is there, yeah. Jill Quirk. Michael Bayliss is closer to the front. He's giving us a bit of generational equity, and it's his generation that's being stooged by the present arrangements, by the way. And now, I can't see, where's Mark? Mark's standing up, given that he's on post, that's a mighty effort. All right, can someone move that resolution? It's moved Paul Galvin, second and Clive Judd. Any discussion? Those in favour, those against, I declare that carried. Now, the next item is the statement of purpose. I hope that people have had an opportunity to read it. I noticed myself very late in the day that there's a typo in point 9 when it talks about cost of essential services, and the last word is power, when the intention was that the last word be water, because electricity and gas are already covered. So, subject to that amendment, I'm asking if someone could move that resolution. Rosemary West, and second Gino Iannart, so that resolution concerning the statement of purpose.
I'd like to speak to this, Mr.
Yeah, yes, Rosemary.
I'd like to move it with two amendments to point 2. To add the words after open spaces, green wedges and agricultural land. And if I could briefly comment, I think in a sense, I think that Kelvin, you were a great supporter of green wedges at a time when the Labor Planning Minister was rezoning vast swathes of it. We really appreciate that. I feel that reference belongs in there, and I think agricultural land doesn't have to go with green wedges, but we've got the environment well covered. Yeah. So I think if everyone, the members of the committee and everyone else would accept those two additions, I'd be very happy to move this amendment. I think it's fabulous policy. Can I speak a little bit? I'd just like to say that I was part of the student generation.
Louder,
I was part of the student generation that campaigned against the White Australia policy. And probably the most popular slogan, the most popular banner was "White Australia policy stinks." But the second most popular was "Control, not colour bar." And I think we didn't dream, our student generation then did not dream that we would have a country that would give up control of its immigration policy, basically, and its numbers, and that we would see such damage being done to our environment and other aspects of our lifestyles as we are now seeing. So it makes me quite cross if people suggest that I'm a racist, because anti-racism goes back to my very roots, and I think that you've set this out extremely well. So, and I guess I would also say that as a minister of councillor, I'm frequently in planning committee meetings, preliminary conferences, where people are complaining about, a 10-unit development in their street, or what we're getting now is 9, 10 and 12 stories down in Kingston. And I say to people, this is the pointy end of the population debate. And of course, a lot of those, we heard at a meeting recently, up to a third of the buildings on South Bank are empty because they're being purchased by people overseas in order to improve their qualification for residency. So I just wanted to say those two things from the beginning and end to support this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Just with regard to the statement of purpose, I was wondering whether the greatest pressure for population increase comes from our services and retail-based economy. And I think, unless we turn the economy away from being so over-reliant on the provision of retail and services as being among the most important sectors in our really relieving the actual causes of the population growth. And governments won't be able to do anything unless we diversify to a more knowledge base. And I know that the 10 statements that you've got here, none of them really deal with the economy, and I'm just wondering whether it would be worth putting something into that.
In relation to the knowledge base, I agree with you 100%, and it expressly refers to improving the affordability and quality of education, skills and training. The broader question I think is better dealt with in terms of supporting community actions which advance the above objectives as item 10, but I'm not disagreeing with what you say. It's all fair comments. Come back.
Health should be in there because in cities, as population goes up, health goes down.
All right, well, someone might think about where that word might go while I'm with Joan.
On the figure of 70,000 net immigration, I think really the only long-term figure that is truly sustainable is zero net immigration. So I
have heard that position before, but I've given a lot of thought to this and feel like we have to have the aspiration of landing the plane rather than crash landing it. So I understand what you're saying, but I've road tested that number for quite a few years, and no one from the other side of the argument's been able to punch a hole in it. So I prefer to stick with it. And of course, in terms of the actual population, desirable population number or desirable migration number, there are probably as many different and legitimately different views about this as there are not only people in this room but people out there. So I think rather than having our hearts set on the highly specific, we understand where we are heading and the general need to stabilise our population. I was going to go Ian.
Ian Penrose, can I comment on Rosemary's suggested amendment?
Yes.
You've opened the door about defining open space, and whilst we might talk about open space, I think one of the things that could be in there is our natural areas. Victoria is the most cleared state in Australia, and if we continue to clear it for farms or for cities, we're destroying our natural heritage. So if we talk about open space and talk about green regions or agricultural land, I hope we put in there our natural areas as well, our natural places.
Natural heritage?
Our natural places as well. Heritage has a defined
I'm happy with that, Mr. Chair.
All right, so open spaces could be replaced by natural places, green wedges and agricultural
I
land.
think if we add it on, leave open spaces there.
All right.
Natural places,
Green wedges and agricultural land is where it reads. I'll take the 2 here and then one there.
There was just a suggestion about the 70,000 figure. Perhaps you can just put flexible or adjustable, because I mean that zero net population growth would mean that could go up to July 14. Perhaps you could amend it for flexible.
This should be reviewed in future, can't it?
Yes, it can.
I'd like to say that I want to give thanks to, I think these points are excellent, fantastic start. Well thought out.
Could you repeat that, please?
He was suggesting that we leave the thing for the purposes of this meeting, that of course we're capable of changing it further on down the road. That was the point. One here and then I'll take it. Yes.
Just on the numbers and the idea of zero population growth, I'm not sure whether many people are aware, but there are 80,000 people a year leave Australia. Is everybody aware of that? 80. You might ask who would ever leave this place, but 80,000 people a year are leaving. So you're only getting 70,000 net.
Hold on, don't interrupt, we'll have, yes. Yeah,
So it's 70,000 net.
yes. The point made up the front is correct. When we talk about migration numbers, we talk about net migration numbers. Right, Vivian?
So 70,000 net immigration, does that include asylum seekers or asylum seekers extra another 20,000?
No, it's net.
So that includes...
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. I was just trying to think about what I'd do with the word health.
Mr Chair, since it's my motion,
Yeah.
I would suggest that it stays the same apart from the addition of the word natural places. And I think those are complex issues that could be discussed. I mean, I would suggest it'd be great to have a think tank to deal with the economic issues. I personally think the big problem is that our economy is so dependent on the development industry.
Yeah.
I think that's a bigger threat. But I think it'd be lovely if we could talk about those things later. I think they're too big to go into this motion, and I think this motion basically covers all of those issues in other broader terms.
I'll take comment from the woman standing in the back.
Okay. I might be very naive about how to do things, but reading through these ideas, this list of actions to be taken, they seem to be requiring political action. And they seem to require that governments and political parties can achieve this list. How are people like us going to be able to influence political parties and governments in power? Because I don't see how we can achieve these things.
Yes. You're right, this is political. You are right, this is challenging. And I referred to this in my remarks and said we need to grow. We can fight, but if we expect to win, the first thing we need to do is grow. I'll take two more, Cliff and Alex, because we need to get to a point where we can move on this. Cliff?
Mr Chair, I'm just concerned about the item referring to infrastructure or referring to the costs of power, electricity and council rates. I think maybe we should somehow put infrastructure costs being passed on in that way, so stop the increasing costs of infrastructure being passed on in that, because we can't really properly to reduce rates of electricity charges and gas charges in all ways. I feel as if those things are ever increasing, but we should at least alert the public to the huge cost of infrastructure being passed on presently in those charges.
Okay, Alex?
I'll formally second the amendment, because there's been no amendment, so I'll formally second the amendment. I agree with this gentleman here. You can always do fine-tuning later, such as a think tank.
Yes.
This can be under the jurisdiction of the computer.
Yep.
So I'll formally second the amendment.
All right. Look, I think based on that and based on the suggestion that Rosemary made, that of course these things aren't set in stone and are capable of being amended further on down the road, that subject to the amendment that we've had, the natural places, green wedges and agricultural land amendment and the water at point 9, I'll put this resolution in the form that it's in. People who are interested in the statement of purpose and wish to be involved in ongoing work concerning that, if you make yourselves known to me or to Julian or one of the other committee members, we will make sure that people are notified and given opportunities to be involved in that discussion. It obviously is difficult to design these things and fine-tune them in a large gathering such as this one. But I think I will put that proposition now, the statement of purposes, as moved by Rosemary West and seconded by Alex Hutchins. Those in favour? Against? I declare that carried. And the final resolution that we need to do is the adoption of Constitution and rules, that this first meeting of Victoria First moves to formally endorse and adopt the model rules as circulated to members prior to the meeting, as outlined in the Victorian Association Incorporation Reform Act as its constitution and rules. Victoria First moves to adopt the end of the financial year for its financial reporting, grant application and annual general meeting purposes. Can I have someone to move that? It's moved here by Jim Callaghan, seconded by Dally Messenger. There's no discussion. Mike?
With the rules, when you call an annual meeting, what that call?
We are required to give notification, and we'll give notification in accordance with the requirements of the rules.
Is it every member or is it stated twice? Because what I'm concerned about is the cost. If you're going to call every member, it's the cost of doing it. We will let every member know. Absolutely. Now the worksheets, the membership application forms seek people's addresses, phone numbers, emails. You know, if we get a combination of these things, it makes it possible for us to notify everybody without. Yeah, I wasn't really pushing everybody to notify. It's just the cost of doing it, and that you know, send out by mail. You've got there, you spend a lot of time notifying every person,
Well, obviously the more emails we get, the easier that and less costly that objective is. All right, now I had someone move and second that, is that right? Yes, I did, that's right. I will put that resolution. Those in favour, against, I declare that carried. All right, that takes us through the formal part of proceedings, and I thank everybody for their contributions and support for that.